Shalom, welcome to the Jewish Task Force. This is Chaim ben Pesach. On this program, we want to speak about how Hillary Clinton is a pathological liar. Nothing she says is true, and we're going to give you some examples on this program of how you can't trust a single word that she or her husband utter. They have done nothing but lie from the moment they came onto the public arena. When Hillary Clinton ran for the United States Senate in New York, people said, why is she running for the Senate in New York? She's a carpetbagger. She's not a New Yorker. She was born and raised in Illinois. Then she went to move to Washington and worked in Washington. Afterwards, she went with her husband, her so-called husband, Bill Clinton, to Arkansas, and she was his so-called wife, if you can call it that, when he was the governor of Arkansas. Now, she never had any connection to New York all these years. All of a sudden, she wanted to run for the Senate to prepare herself to run for president. That was her goal. And she saw that there were a number of places where she could run for the Senate, but the polls showed that she was not going to win in Illinois. She was not going to win in Arkansas. In Arkansas, she's very unpopular to this day. People hate Hillary Clinton to this day in Arkansas because they got to know her as a corrupt, evil, scheming, left-wing demon. So she couldn't win in Arkansas, and she would have a hard time winning in Illinois. But in New York, which is so left-wing and so Democrat, that was the place where she could win. Because she was very unpopular in 2000 when she was the so-called First Lady. There was still, all the scandals were still fresh in the minds of people. And she was very unpopular, and she was going to have a hard time getting elected anywhere other than an extreme left state like New York. New York is an extreme left state which is overwhelmingly Democrat. And so she decided to run for the Senate in New York. And all of a sudden, she came up with these claims that she always wanted to live in New York, even when she was a little girl growing up in Illinois. She never really wanted to live in Illinois. She always preferred New York. She always wanted to live in New York. She always loved New York. New York was always her goal and her aspiration. This was always her goal, to move to New York. It's not because she now wants to run for the Senate that she's suddenly moving to New York. No! She always was a New Yorker at heart. She always wanted to move to New York. And she gave this story over and over again when she was running for the Senate, which was such an obvious lie. She never had any interest in New York or any place else. Hillary Clinton is only interested in Hillary Clinton. She's only interested in power and money and corruption, and she wants to be president of the United States like her evil husband was. And she'll be worse even than her evil husband was. She'll be much worse than he was. Anyway, she also, just to prove her point, another example of how she lies and just makes things up, what a phony she is. She claims she was always a fan of the New York Yankees. Now, the New York Yankees are an extremely popular baseball team in New York City. There are New Yorkers who are fanatics over that team. If people like baseball in New York, people are fanatics over the New York Yankees. And she claims she was always a New York Yankees fan. Even when she was a little girl in Illinois, she was always rooting for the Yankees. She was always a Yankees fan. I mean, this is a woman who didn't know anything about baseball, who's completely full of you know what. And this is an evil, demonic serpent who used any possible issue to make the most absurd statements. She was a Yankees fan when she was a little girl growing up in Illinois. This is someone, when she spoke about baseball, she didn't even know what she was talking about. But she was always a fervent Yankees fan. She was always rooting for the Yankees. I wonder if she ever heard of the Yankees when she was a little girl growing up in Illinois. If she really loved New York so much, why, when she became an adult, why didn't she leave Illinois and move to New York? Why did she move to Washington, D.C. and then to Arkansas? She never moved to New York. But this is the same type of, and you might say, well, these aren't the biggest lies, but you know something? If someone will lie to us, it says in the Talmud, which is the great rabbinic commentary, the brilliant rabbinic commentary on the Bible and the Torah, it says if you lie on the little things, if someone lies on the little things, it's a bad sign as far as the big things. If they're going to lie even on the little things, you know that there's a very good chance they're going to lie to you on the big things as well. If they're willing to lie even on little things, then they'll lie to you also on the big things. And she, of course, also lies on the big things. She's been involved in numerous scandals. She perjured herself before the grand jury that was investigating the Whitewater scandals and that was investigating Filegate. And I mean, she's a pathological liar and a perjurer who got away with it because she's a leftist and because the left-wing news media backed her up. If she had been a Republican, she would have been in jail for years for all the crimes she committed. But anyway, Hillary Clinton has always lied, even about things like wanting to be a New Yorker, loving the Yankees since she was a little girl, always rooting for the Yankees. Yeah, sure. But not just that. You see the same mentality, the same behavior in Bill Clinton. You see this, she behaves just like him when it comes to having contempt for the American people. When she lies, looks you straight in the face and says that the claim that Clinton had adulterous affairs is just a vast right-wing conspiracy. And when she makes those claims, I mean, she's lying to you in your face. It's like when Bill Clinton said that he smoked marijuana but never inhaled. You remember that? Many of you on YouTube are too young to remember that, but when he was running for president, he said he smoked marijuana but never inhaled. Now, why would he make a statement like that, smoking marijuana but never inhaling, which is absurd? What's the point of smoking marijuana and never inhaling? He wanted to say that he tried marijuana. He wanted to say that he tried this drug in order to be cool with the new generation. He wanted to do that, even though it's not cool to smoke marijuana. Only idiots use drugs. Drugs are for sick people who want to escape reality, for cowards who can't face reality. But anyway, he wanted to be cool with those people, especially left-wing youth, that think it's cool to smoke drugs, that think it's cool to smoke pot. And so he wanted to say that he tried pot because he wanted to show that he was cool and didn't want to turn off the so-called cool people. But at the same time, his polling and his sample groups showed him that if he actually said that he inhaled marijuana and smoked marijuana, that might hurt him with other voters. So he wanted to take the middle position. So he wanted to please everybody and be all things to everybody. So he said, I smoked marijuana, but I didn't inhale. In other words, he wanted to please everybody and be everything to everybody, which is what the Clintons always do. Anything, any ruthless act and lie, any cheating, lying, corruption, stealing, anything to seize power. That's what they're all about. And so these are just examples of people who are so dishonest. And again, if they're dishonest with us on the little things, like she always wanted to be a New Yorker, like she loved the Yankees, he smoked marijuana but he never inhaled, it was a vast right-wing conspiracy, he never committed adultery, it was just a vast right-wing conspiracy. If they lie to us on these things, which you may say are little things, I don't think they're little things. I think they're insulting people's intelligence. If they lie to us on this, they're also going to lie to us on the really big things, like the survival of America and our struggle to survive in a world where a lot of people hate this country and want to do very bad things to this country. Bill and Hillary Clinton are not worthy of being leaders in this country. They're not worthy of being in the White House. You can go to our website, you see the address, and our great forum. Join us. Help us to stop Hillary Saddam Clinton from polluting the office of the White House. It will be a disaster if she's elected. The polls show she has an even chance of winning against the Republicans. She's running even, and in some cases running ahead of Republican candidates. There is a real danger that this evil woman will become president of the United States. We have to stop her before it's too late. We have to stop her before we have in the White House the type of evil people that brought us September 11th, which we'll talk about on future videos. They weakened America and created the atmosphere that enabled September 11th. We have got to stop them before it's too late, because everything out of their mouth is a lie, and we cannot afford, in this dangerous time that we live in, we cannot afford corrupt, lying politicians running the most powerful nation, the last superpower in the world. Shalom.